listeners, welcome to GoSeller 2022. We are on day 4th, which is the last day of our event. I'm Riya Mittal and I will be your host for today's session. Firstly, I would like to thank the speakers, partners, and of course you all for making the last 3 days so interesting and so wonderful. So before we move on with our event, let's have a quick recap. In day 1, we spoke about product research and how you can source your perfect product. In day 2, we spoke about funding, VAT and taxes, and your perfect launch strategy for your Amazon FBA business. Third day, we spoke about advertising and business monitoring. And today, we speak about brand management. We speak about cross-border expansion and of course, how you can exit your Amazon FBA business. If you haven't already, do not forget to register for GoSeller 2022. The register link is in the description box below. Registered users get exclusive discounts and benefits such as discount codes from our registered partners in form of a goodie bag and some PDFs that will help you excel in your Amazon FBA journey. For more information, do not forget to visit GoSeller official page. The card will be on the screen right now. We have agendas listed there. If you have missed any of the previous sessions, the watch link is available there. We have all our registered partners and see what they're offering, and of course all the speaker information if you want to contact them. So without further ado, let's invite Ben Leonard, who is the co-founder of Ecom Brokers. He is talking about brand management on Amazon, and over to you, Ben.
Hello and welcome to my GoSeller 2022 presentation, and thank you to SellerApp for having me. Today, we're going to be speaking about understanding your customer and building a customer and brand avatar. So, who am I? My name is Ben Leonard. I'm an e-commerce entrepreneur and consultant. I'm probably best known for founding a brand of fitness equipment called Beast Gear in 2016. I grew that business to mid-7 figures revenue, selling right across the world. Sold it in late 2019. It was actually Thrasio's first UK acquisition. And now I'm building new e-commerce brands because I love it and I know how to build a brand and make it something valuable I can sell. I'm helping other people get amazing exits for their business with my brokerage, Ecom Brokers. Today, we're going to talk about customer and brand avatars and why they're so important for your brand, scaling it and then selling it. We're going to talk about people, not products. Who is your customer? Creating a customer avatar, creating a brand avatar, something called the hero's journey, and then we're going to bring it all together. So, avatars. We have 2 types. We have the brand avatar. Let's kick off with that. This is your brand's personality. It is a reflection of your customer. It's a reflection of your customer avatar and who your customer aspires to be. It's appealing to your customer naturally because it reflects them or who they want to be. And it is going to be positioned, and we're going to talk about this later, as the guide in your customer's journey towards buying your product, okay? The customer avatar then is a picture or an idea of your ideal customer. It is the type of person, essentially, who buys your products or your services, all right? And people, not products, is going to be the focus of what we talk about today. Because when you focus on people, not products, you should be asking not what should I sell, but who should I sell to? You see, you can sell stuff and make money for a period of time, but that's not really sustainable, right? Fidget spinners, remember those? Wristbands, remember when that was all the rage? But that's not really the route to selling or building a sustainable business, all right? What needs to be the focus is people. Real businesses focus on people. And when you focus on people, not product, that is what is going to help you develop your marketing strategy. So let's kick off with content marketing. You see, when you focus on people, not products, you will understand what blog posts, videos, podcasts, lead magnets you should create to attract and convert your ideal customer, because you'll know what they want. When you focus on people, not products, you will know about your paid traffic strategy, because you will know where your customers are, and so which ad platforms you should buy traffic from and how should you target your customers. When you focus on people, not products, you will know what products to create for them, what solutions to provide for them, because after all, your products exist to solve problems for your customers. And when you understand their problems, you understand the solutions you need to create for them. All right. And when you understand people, not products, you'll understand how to talk to them, how your copy should be. How should you describe your offers in your email, in your sales letters, on your listings, in your ads? What's going to compel your customer avatar to buy from you? And of course, you'll understand how to email your customers, and that links into copywriting there as well. But you'll understand what kind of emails your customers and potential customers want to receive and when should they receive them. When you focus on people, not products, you should ideally be scratching your own itch. All right. And I'm going to explain what that means. Let me focus for a moment on Beast Gear. That was the first brand that I built and then sold. Okay. I wanted high quality training fitness equipment. I wanted to improve on the kit that I already owned. Shopify was founded by a guy called Tobias Lutke. He needed a platform to sell his snowboards. So he built a website to sell his snowboards. But in the process of doing so, he discovered that he preferred developing that platform. He scratched his own itch. He created a simple website building tool which he could use to build his snowboard website. And he realized that other people wanted something similar for their businesses. Going back to the Beast Gear example, I scratched my own itch. I wanted high quality training equipment for me. And so when you scratch your own itch, you experience the issues. You have the best experience of the problem or pain point. So there's no one better to sell it, right? You know the benefits of your product or solution. You know that it works, okay? You understand the market better than anyone because you are the customer, all right? For instance, Jack O'Neill from the O'Neill surfing brand, he knew a lot about surfing. Tobias Lutke, who I just mentioned, knows what e-commerce merchants want, hence founding Shopify. So who do you serve? That is one of the earliest questions you need to be asking yourself. Who do you sell to? Who are these people? Are they CrossFitters? Are they people with sensitive skin? Perhaps they're business owners. And so these are 3 quick examples I want to work through right now, okay? What problems do they have? Let's answer that question for the CrossFitter. Perhaps their existing gym bag gets torn up and worn out quickly when they toss it onto the floor of the fitness gym, the CrossFit gym that they go to. Perhaps someone with sensitive skin is suffering from eczema. Or perhaps a business owner has problems with time management. They're not very good at planning, perhaps. And so what do they want? Well, they want a solution to their problem, don't they? So maybe they need a better bag to carry their kit. So if you head over to KingKongApparel.com, you'll see that those guys created a better gym bag that would not get torn up and worn out quickly. And as a side note, it's also excellent for carrying specific equipment that CrossFitters want. They've scratched their own itch. QforQuinn.com was founded by a mother who needed hypoallergenic socks for her baby who had sensitive skin. And she has since built that brand out to provide solutions for all sorts of people with sensitive skin and creating high quality products which are eco-friendly. And finally, the Best Self Co, bestself.co, they have expanded their brand to be an entire productivity brand, but they started out just with a productivity journal for business owners. And who better than them, because they scratched their own itch. That is what they wanted, all right? So it's about asking who you serve, what is the problem they have, and what do they want in relation to that problem. And so from there, we can start to build a customer avatar. Let me give you an example with Beast Gear. Again, it's the brand that I built, so I know it very well. Let's talk about Liam the lifter. He's 27, he's an IT technician, he's got a university degree. That kind of doesn't matter. Often when people are thinking about their customers, they immediately start thinking about demographics. It's important, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is actually their goals. What do they want? What does Liam want to do? Their values. What do they care about? Their challenges as it relates to, the topic or your brand. So Liam is challenged with, what are the pain points as it relates to that? And so we can go through these and begin to answer them in the voice of your brand, as it were. For example, Liam wants to deadlift his body weight deadlift 2 times his body weight and squat about 1.5 times his body weight. He cares about equipment that doesn't fail. He cares about looking and feeling the part. And the main challenge is that he can't afford good kit. Okay. And the pain point is that the poor service of the other brands isn't good enough. And the kit that he can afford keeps failing on him. All right. So when we understand that, we can think about, well, how do we appeal to this person and what can we provide for them? Okay. We now know our customers' goals, values, challenges, and pain points. How can we actually get noticed by them? How can they even know that we exist? Well, the answer to that is to get in front of them. So returning to Liam the lifter for a minute, ask ourselves, where does Liam spend time online and consume electronic information? He's on Facebook because he's in groups for strength training. He's on Instagram because, well, everybody's on Instagram, but he's following the top coaches, posting his gym progress, following his friends. He's on YouTube, watching information from training experts. He's listening to podcasts, listening to his favorite coaches, okay? And he's on blogs and websites consuming this information too from his favorite coaches and trainers. And he's on online magazines, okay? So we know that this is where he's hanging out. How do we get in front of him then, okay? Perhaps we can get in front of him in these places. We know where he hangs out, but it's not as simple as just posting in these places. We can't say, okay, he's on YouTube, let's make a bunch of YouTube videos. He's on Facebook, let's run a bunch of Facebook ads. We can't just post there and expect sales to come in. We still need to understand a bit more about our customer avatar, okay? So he's going to object to buying from us. Even once we've got in front of him, he's going to say, well, who are these guys? Why should I trust them? All right. Why might he not want to buy from us? Again, returning to the beast gear example, perhaps it's still too expensive. Perhaps we need to therefore justify the price. And we can do that in our copy, in the information on our listing, by creating, and in our images, by creating an offer which compels him to buy by demonstrating that our product is worth the money, right? Perhaps he doesn't know, like, and trust our brand yet. So we need social proof and we need to demonstrate competence. We need to demonstrate competence, and we can do that by creating helpful, compelling, useful information, which shows that we know what we're talking about. So YouTube videos of training tutorials, blog posts about nutrition for training, for example. And perhaps he just doesn't know if the equipment will help. So we need social proof. So that's posts on social of influencers and existing customers using the product. And also, you know, in our images on Amazon listings as well, and on our website too, for example. So we now know a lot of information about our customer, right? We know our customers' goals, values, challenges, pain points, and we've addressed those, okay? We understand where they're hanging out, and we know why they might not buy from us, and we know how to bust those objections. So what we now need to do is build a brand avatar which reflects all this and will compel our customer to buy from our brand, okay? We're going to use our customer avatar to build a reflection of the customer in our brand. And this will shape all of our marketing efforts, our brand voice, our copy, our images, even our logo, the suite of products that we offer. Everything related to our brand will be underpinned by this brand avatar that reflects our customer. So what is in a brand avatar? It's how your brand is viewed. It's how does your brand sound? It's do you understand what you do and can you communicate that? You'd be surprised the number of people who can't do that. It's about do you know what your brand doesn't do and what does your brand stand against? How do you want your brand to be viewed then? We'll kick off with that. All right. This example I'm giving you on the screen applies to the first brand I grew called Beast Gear, okay? But really, I would say that 99% of these points apply for every brand. So most brands want to be viewed as having high quality products and excellent service, okay? They want their personality, or Beast Gear's personality rather, was independent, relatable, fun, competent. And not every brand is going to want to be perceived that way. Not every brand is want to necessarily be seen as fun. You know, perhaps you have a service which offers funeral care. Fun wouldn't be appropriate, for instance. Your marketing, what do you do? Well, for my brand, we wanted to be on social media, email marketing, chatbots. Other brands might want to be on very particular channels. Your presentation. How does your brand look and feel? So for Beast Gear, we want it to be seen as high quality, high end, and cool. Now, I would say that applies for most brands, but not necessarily all, because not all brands are going to want to necessarily be cool. Then we have something called the rational benefits, okay? And these are functional, physical aspects as it relates to your brand and products. So we wanted quality products, help me train better. That's how we wanted people to view our products from a rational perspective, all right? And then we have the process side of that rational benefit, which is about how easy the products are to use. And we wanted people to say, well, the products work well and they're simple to use. So think about how that might apply to your brand. What are the rational benefits for your brand? And then there was the customer experience. We wanted them to believe that we had, and to not just believe, but to know that we had great service, delivery, and follow-up. Okay, so what does your customer experience need to look like for your brand? And then there's the emotional side, and this is arguably more important than the rational side. There's the perceived value. So we wanted people to say, well, it's great value for the price. And there's the external aspect of the emotional benefit. What does it say about me as a customer? Because everybody cares what people think of them, whether they admit that or not. Deep down, they do. It's a human thing. We're wired that way. And we wanted B-Skier or B-Skier customers to say, or to feel that their products made them look cool and serious about their training. And closely related to that is the internal emotional benefit, how it makes you feel as a customer. Also cool, but really important here, part of a tribe. A key part of B-Skier's marketing was building this tribe of fans. And so you need to ask yourself, what are you doing for your brand? And are you building a tribe? For example, are you building a community? How do you want your customers to feel internally and externally about your brand and your products? Okay, so as you're going through this, start jotting down ideas as it relates to your brand, okay? So we know how we want our brand to be viewed, but the next really important part is making sure that we're viewed the right way by making sure that we sound right. And that takes us into our brand voice, okay? And this is the manner in which you speak in all of your marketing material. More often, it's your actual copy, okay? So for example, Innocent Smoothies, popular brand of smoothies, the copy on the label on the bottle of the smoothie is fun and friendly. I actually find it a little bit annoying, but I'm not their ideal customer. You might be blunt and funny, like the Dollar Shave Club, who did very well with their Our Blades Are Great campaign. Doesn't appeal to everyone, but it's not supposed to. Maserati, they have a very sophisticated brand voice, and that's because they're trying to reflect who their customers either are or aspire to be. And arguably, Maserati customers are either sophisticated or they want to think of themselves as sophisticated. So they want to see that reflected back at them in the brand, and in this case, in the brand voice. Maybe you're sarcastic and rude, Cards Against Humanity. Or maybe you're very serious and empathetic if you have a funeral care company, okay? And people say to me, but Ben, won't I exclude people if I do this? And I say, absolutely you will, because you want to speak to your ideal customer. There's no point in trying to speak to everyone. You want to focus on people and focus on the people who are looking for solutions to the problems that your products solve. You're not speaking to everyone, you're niching down, okay? The best voice is your voice, which is why it's so important that your brand is about something that you're passionate about, or at least someone senior in your organization is passionate about. Otherwise, you're not scratching your own itch and you don't understand the market, you don't understand the products, you don't understand the problems that you're trying to solve, and you don't understand your customers, okay? Now, I'm going to show you an example on the screen. I'm going to read it. I know you can read, but I'm going to read it anyway. It is from a piece of copy that I wrote for a listing for a weightlifting belt for Beast Gear, and this appeared on the Beast Gear website, okay? So, it says, wearing the Beast Gear Power Belt is like being the heavyweight champion of the world. You've got the belt. You are the shit. You can strut around the gym like a boss because, frankly, you are one. And then we got a little picture, a little gif of Stone Cold Steve Austin from wrestling saying, that belt is coming with me. And then we changed tone a little bit. Our power belt is handcrafted with passion and care. It's not designed to compete among the bog standard mass-produced belts. This is a stronger, longer-lasting belt for serious beasts. The power belt is distinguished by its premium, all-natural materials and the painstaking manufacturing process. Our belts retain the natural characteristics of the leather and do not compromise on the intrinsic strength of the materials. We trust our belts every day in training, and so can you. So notice that the copy there has been written for our customer. To begin with, we're a little bit cocky, a little bit almost arrogant, but still a bit tongue-in-cheek, not taking ourselves too seriously, a little bit fun. But equally, we know that our customers take their training seriously and they want good quality products. So the second half of that copy is really paying particular attention to the detail, talking about the features and benefits and why these products are so good, and paying attention to the care that went into making them, okay? Think about how that applies to your brand and how you want to speak to your customers, all right? So the next part of our brand avatar is asking ourselves, do we understand what we do and how to communicate? A lot of people, you ask them what their brand does or what they do, and they know, but they can't communicate it properly to you. And here's a quick exercise that's going to help you do it. It's called a quick pitch or a tagline, and it's a short message which explains what your brand offers, okay? And it looks like this: problem, solution, result. All right. And I'm going to show you a beast gear example, and I want you to be thinking about what you can do for your brand. Okay. So high quality fitness equipment has become a luxury preserved for elite athletes, while affordable kit is not good enough. Problem. Beast Gear provides top spec training gear at a fair price and with service to match. Solution. So you can concentrate on your training supported by premium products that won't let you down. Result. All right. And when you structure it like that, problem, solution, result, it's just so clear and simple. So ask yourself, what problem do your customers have? What solution do you provide? And what does their life look like when they have your solution, they have your product or products? Okay. And I love to use that in the last sentence there. So that, it really makes people feel like, oh, this is how my life will look after I have this solution. All right. Now, some of you might be saying, well, yeah, okay, but what do we do with that? Well, have everyone in your team learn it, and then ensure that all your marketing material fits the essence of that message. You don't have to put that message anywhere if you don't want to. It doesn't literally have to go on anything, but it's an exercise, and you want to make sure that all your marketing material fits the spirit of that message. Now, you can put it in some places. You could put it in your email signature, particularly works well for smaller brands. You could put it on the about section of your website, and you could put it in your social media bios, for example. Okay. So we know how we want our brand to be viewed. We want to reflect our customer. We know how we want to sound. We know what we do and we can communicate it, but what do we not do? You see, that's really important. What do you not do and what do you stand against? Okay. You want to define your enemy, because nothing builds a following for a brand better than a defined enemy. Think about BrewDog. If you're in the States, you may not have heard of them, although they do now have a brewery in the US. They're a huge now beer company from Scotland. They stand against poor quality, boring beer. That's the way they've positioned themselves. I'm not saying all their beer is fantastic, but they've cleverly positioned themselves that way. Tesla stands against high polluting, inferior technology. Again, I'm not saying anything that's not a Tesla is inferior or high polluting, but Tesla have positioned themselves that way. Apple stands against stuffy, boring tech. I use a PC, but I respect Apple's excellent marketing in the way they have positioned themselves. Remember the I'm a Mac, I'm a PC campaign? That was very, very clever. So to define your enemy, ask yourself this question: what is the root cause of your customer's problem? And can you personify it? Can you whittle that down? I'm going to give you a Beast Gear example again. So Beast Gear's root cause of the problem was the status quo of the elitist fitness industry. And what is the problem then? What is that cause as it relates to your products? And that brings us back to that emotional side, external side that we spoke about earlier. So for Beast Gear, relating to our products then, it was that the best equipment is too expensive and affordable equipment is low quality. And how does that make your customers feel? The internal side of it. Why is that just plain? Well, no, we're not quite there yet. How does that make your customers feel? They feel then frustrated at lack of access to great equipment and overwhelmed by all the low quality options out there. And why is that just plain wrong? Why is that just plain wrong? It's 2022. It's just plain wrong. That shouldn't be the state these days. Everyone deserves access to good quality equipment to exercise with. Reliable gear and excellent service should not be the preserve of the wealthy or elite athletes. Can you ask yourself those 4 questions for your brand? Can you pause this right now and go and do that? Right? That is how you define your enemy. When you stand against something, everybody else comes with you because they're on your side. Okay? So now you know your enemy. Now what? You're going to use that directly and indirectly in your copy, your marketing material, your website, videos, social posts, product descriptions to do a couple of things. One, you're going to guide your customer with empathy. You understand their problem. You understand the enemy, the external and internal and philosophical issues. I get it. Your fitness equipment is low quality because you can't afford the best stuff, which is overpriced, and that's unfair. That shouldn't be the state of play anymore. And I wrote about that over there, bskewer.co.uk/pages/philosophy. If you just go to bskewer.co.uk, click on philosophy, you'll see an example of how I have done that and positioned the brand in that way, empathetic way. And then you're going to guide the customer with authority, demonstrating that you know what you're talking about. And again, I did that. Head over to bskewer.co.uk, click on the knowledge bomb section. You'll see basically a whole bunch of content, mostly written by me, some new stuff not written by me since I sold the business, all about positioning yourself as an authority in your space. So you're empathetic, but you also know what you're talking about. And when you guide with that in mind, people are going to buy your product because they relate to you, because you clearly care, but you are competent. All right. And so they'll buy from you because now they trust you because they know you a bit better and they know that you care, but they also know that you know what you're talking about. Okay. So that brings us very nicely to the next part of the webinar, which is the hero's journey. Okay. So I want you to imagine for a second, the greatest film of all time is Back to the Future, as we all know. And the hero in that film is a guy called Marty McFly. And your customer is the hero. And by the way, this idea was it's been used for decades, but it was very nicely put together by a guy called Paul Jamin, who's actually one of the writers on the cartoon. You may remember it, very funny adult cartoon called King of the Hill. And he's used this very well in some of his stuff. So if you just YouTube him, you'll find some great stuff about this, okay? So your hero is your customer. So think of Marty McFly in Back to the Future. All right. And he has a problem. He's stuck in 1955, and he's accidentally changed the course of the future by preventing his parents from meeting and so preventing his own birth. That's a pretty big problem. So your customer has a problem. All right. Now, Marty has an enemy, Biff. Biff is now his mom's boyfriend. And that's the root cause of the problem, really, because if Biff is his mom's boyfriend, then his mom doesn't meet his dad and Marty can't be born. And the customer has a problem, and there's a root cause of it too. Luckily, Marty meets a guy, Dr. Emmett Brown, also known as Doc. That's your brand. Your brand is a guide, okay? And the guide gives the hero a plan. Doc gives Marty a plan to arrange for his parents to meet using a lightning strike to get Marty back to 1985. And so your plan that you as a guide, your brand as a guide is going to give your customer is to purchase. And you're going to give that to your customer using your brand voice, your marketing material with empathy and authority and helpful, useful, engaging, compelling content. All right. And the outcome then was that Marty's parents met. The future was saved. Marty safely got back to 1985. Your customer's problem is solved. Your satisfied customer purchases from you again and again and again. Now, what was the point in that other than to talk about the greatest film of all time? Well, let me go into this a bit more. No one cares about your brand. The customer is king, and that is why the hero has got to be your customer, all right? The customer just wants to solve their problem. And so you need to make that central to your plot. They're not interested in hearing about your brand. Until they've become a fan of your brand, they don't care about your brand. They just want to solve their problem, okay? And as I said before, everybody loves to rally against a common enemy. So if you stand against your customer's enemy, they will love you, okay? The enemy of my enemy is my friend in this case, all right? And the customer just needs someone to show them the path. They're overwhelmed by choice. They don't know what to do. There's so many options. They just want a solution to their problem. Just show me the way. Give me a guide. Give me a plan. And make that plan clear. Give them clarity. Just tell them what to do. If you don't give them a plan, then the customer is confused. And some of you will be saying, well, How do I give them a plan? Let me show you an example. You can do this on your own website. You can do this on your social media. You can do this on your Amazon listing, in your images, in your enhanced brand content. But think of it like this. When you break something down into 3 or 4 steps, suddenly everything feels a lot easier. Suppose you have a brand which sells wool, okay? You sell wool for knitting, right? What if it looked like this? Because I have no idea which wool to buy to knit my sweater for my granddaughter, okay? Select your pattern, choose your wool, place your order, knit your jumper. Doesn't that feel already a whole lot easier and better? It's almost like each of those steps is a stepping stone over a raging river, and I'm on one side of it trying to get to the other side, but it feels way less overwhelming if I have some stepping stones, all right? The sweater is on the other side of the river, and I'm on this side, yeah? Select your pattern, choose your wool, place your order, knit your jumper. You could put that on your website, enhanced brand content, images. Makes life feel a lot easier. Almost feels like I've already got a solution to my problem. I almost feel like I already have the wool. And now I feel a lot more easy about buying from you, okay? And you can show them how life looks when they've solved their problem in your images. You can show happy grandparents giving the sweater to the granddaughter or the daughter or whoever it might be. And you can do that directly or indirectly in your copy and your images, all right? Make them feel like they already have the solution. So let's bring all this together then. You're going to focus on people, not products. And when you do that and put your customer, not the brand, at the center of your marketing material, everything becomes a lot easier because people care about themselves, all right? Put people at the center of your content, your traffic strategy, your product strategy, your copy, and your marketing. Because until you understand people, you don't know how all of those things should look because you don't know who the people you're targeting even are. And so to do that, you have to define who you serve and provide value related to what your customer wants. And that's content, helpful, free, compelling, engaging, useful information, which will give your customer a lot more confidence in you that you know what you're talking about. And your products should solve problems that your customer has. And you understand what those problems are when you define who you serve. Hang out where they hang out, right? So if you're selling products where the customers or potential customers are on Pinterest, go on Pinterest. Don't go on TikTok, right? Make sure you are where they are. And they might be in more than one place, and that's okay. Bust their objections because they're not going to buy from you straight away. Reflect your customer in your brand avatar because your brand needs to be a reflection of either your customer or even better yet, who your customer aspires to be, okay? And build a suite of products around your customer avatar. A suite of products which solves related problems for that same group of people. Make sure you understand what you do and that you can communicate it, and make sure you understand what you don't do. Define your enemy and stand against it, and then guide the customer with empathy and authority towards the solution. And always remember why your brand exists: to solve the customer's problem, not to talk about yourself, to stand against something. And a great book which talks about this is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Okay. And this matters because when your brand reflects who the customer is and who they aspire to be and hangs out where the customer hangs out and busts objections and builds a tribe and stands against something and guides the customer, you will develop better products. You will sell more products and you will create raving fans who keep buying your products and telling other people about it. This way you will build assets indirectly and directly, but indirectly social, email, chatbots, YouTube, and all of that adds value to your business, by the way, and many, many more indirectly related benefits so that your business is more sellable and more valuable when it comes to an exit. All right. And that's really important. So what do you do once you've built this awesome brand? By focusing on people, not products. Of course, there comes a time when you want to sell it, and that's what we help you do at Ecom Brokers. So head over to ecombrokers.co.uk. We've been there and done it. As you know, I built BeScare and then sold it. I'm building new brands and I'm selling them now. We're also accountants and mergers and acquisitions experts, so we've got experience on all sides of the equation. We do a free initial valuation and follow-up consult call. When you mention GoSeller, we'll deduct 10% off our fees, and we will work with you towards the exit that you want. So head to ecombrokers.co.uk. And if you want to look at something a little bit fun, a little bit light relief, go to ecombrokers.co.uk/movie. I hope you've enjoyed this. You got a lot of value out of it. You can hit me up on any social media channels. My handle is Ben Leonard Pro, or on LinkedIn, just search my name, and I'll be happy to chat with you. I hope you enjoyed that, and thank you once again to SellerApp for having me today.
Hey sellers, we don't need to tell you how important listing optimization is for your Amazon business. Optimizing your listing maximizes your keyword discoverability, as well as conversions for your Amazon product. But how do you ensure that your listing is optimized the right way for the right customers? SellerApp Listing Quality is your answer. Create high-converting, powerful listings with better visibility that wins top ranks on Amazon SERPs with our powerful listing optimization tool suite. This powerful ML-powered tool analyzes product listings against best practices to provide recommendations aimed towards high visibility and conversions. Let us show you how to use SellerApp Listing Quality to benchmark and optimize your product listings. Log in to your SellerApp dashboard and click on Product Intelligence. Click on Add Product, then provide your ASIN or product URL. After that, open Listing Quality and select your product. You can use this feature for 3 major advantages. Understand where your product listing stands. A lower LQI score means your product listing is not very efficient. An LQI above 80 can be considered to be a good quality product listing. Track your competitor products and sellers. Analyze the strengths and weaknesses of their product listings. You can also use LQI to find products that have a good selling potential, but a lower quality product listing. You can start selling these products and obviously get better sales by putting up a better product listing and using keywords that are better than the current listing. Sounds fantastic, doesn't it? What makes SellerApp Listing Quality unique? Gauge your listing's visibility in organic search. Analyze, identify, and bridge the gaps in your SEO strategy. Verify the organic search rank of all major product keywords. Recommendations based on proven listing practices. Get detailed recommendations to improve each metric lagging behind, according to the A9 algorithm standards, and perfect your listing. Convert clicks to sales with on-page analysis. Deep dive into the product title, bullet points, description, ratings, and reviews to identify areas for improvement with our AI-backed analysis. Create a well-crafted product listing that will multiply your Amazon profits with SellerApp Listing Quality. If you have any questions, email us at sales@sellerapp.com. Feel free to chat with our experts.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation on brand management, Ben. I personally had so much fun watching it. Before we move forward, if you have any questions for our speakers, shoot them in the live chat box. Our experts are waiting there to answer them for you. So next we have cross-border expansion as an Amazon FBA business or as an Amazon FBA business owner. Cross-border expansion is very important for us right now, and let me explain to you why. As many sellers are signing up for Amazon US, we've seen the marketplace become very saturated, and to make more profits, you have to explore upcoming marketplaces. That's why cross-border expansion is the way to go right now. To talk about that, we have Ryan Kramer, who is the partnership manager at Ping Pong Payments. And of course, many of you already know him and have seen him almost in all the podcasts out there. So he's going to be talking about cross-border expansion. Over to you, Ryan.
Hey, everyone, and thank you, Ria, for that amazing introduction. Like you had mentioned before, my name is Ryan Kramer. I am with the amazing company Ping Pong Payments. I just wanted to quickly thank everyone for attending the GoSeller session, the GoSeller event. I'm going to bring it up a quick presentation for everyone who's listening to today about what Ping Pong is and how we are going to be helping you grow your entrepreneur journey and your business moving forward. This is an amazing GoSeller event powered by SellerApp. So to do this presentation, I'm going to go ahead and share with everyone this amazing kind of information that we have ready for you all. With Ping Pong Payments, we're going to be talking about today making it easier, not harder, for international e-commerce businesses to operate. So I hope you buckle up, get some notes ready, pen and pencil, or if you're taking notes on your computer, buckle up because we're going to create some actionable items for you, some tips and tricks for you as beginner and intermediate sellers to be able to understand and grow your business, but also some things you may not have known already. And we're going to walk away with some awesome content today. So without further ado, we're going to talk about making it easier, not harder, for international e-commerce businesses to operate. Before we get started, want to kind of give my quick background. My name is Ryan Kramer. I'm going to go ahead and blow that up real quick. My name is Ryan Kramer. I'm the Partnerships Marketing Manager here at Ping Pong Payments in our United States branch. You'll understand why I dictate United States, because we are an international company. I have background in software, e-commerce, fintech solutions, as well as being a seller myself back in 2014 and 15, helping our company grow from zero revenue channel to 6 and 7 figures. So my background comes as a seller, as a software provider working in that space, and also as a service provider in the fintech space, helping people save time, money, and effort. My job here is to help put on events like this and help speak on behalf of the seller. That is you who is listening to this, and helping you grow from your perspective and kind of connect the dots, if you will, from what Ping Pong does and also what background I have as well. So my job is to facilitate podcasts on my end. I have a podcast called Crossover Commerce, where we've done over 240 episodes to date of the podcast with sellers and service providers and lots of great content thought leaders throughout the world to help give you guys your to get insight. That's ultimately what it's for. I've had great people from SellerApp come on before. So enough about me. This is about the content. This is about you guys. This is about what we are going to bring to the table today. So gonna go ahead and just blow up, disappear myself for a moment, and go ahead into what we're going to be talking about today. And that is going to be secure. First and foremost, I want to talk about security regulations. Now, this might seem boring, but it's kind of the unsexy side of e-commerce. But I think it's super important to understand where we're going to come from in terms of growing your business moving forward. So, the benefits of making sure that your money is safe and secure and reliable as you start to develop that international brand. With money coming and going, it's always going to be tough to know where your money is going to be invested into, right? Whether it be in your product category, investing in PPC, investing in software, whatever that looks like, you want to make sure that you know where all of your investments are going into in the appropriate places, making sure that your money is secure and reliable. As a international fintech company, we actually work closely with world-renowned banks in the sector. You can see right there, we have tier 1 partners here at Ping Pong Payments, and we're helping sellers keep their money safe, secure, and reliable when they work with a Ping Pong in a Ping Pong account, such as a Citi, a Bank of America, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, HSBC. The list goes on and on in terms of tier 1 banks that we help with. Now, why is that important? There's 3 initiatives to ensure safety and security of your capital. Capital is important. That's why you're an entrepreneur. That's why you're in the business of growing your brand and business. We want to make sure that your money is safe, secure, and reliable. So we do that by our regulatory compliance. We are reducing risk of our effective compliance program helps Ping Pong mitigate risks by preventing possible events from detrimentally affecting your operations. We identify, analyze, take action, and monitor control of any potential risk that might come to your money. So when you have an account with us, you always want to make sure that no one's stealing money, no one's taking it. We want to make sure that your money is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can add to it or use it however you need to grow your business. We also have great efficiencies that we've built out over the years. You want to make sure your money can get from point A to point B, that's your bank account, or to your supplier or manufacturer, safely, securely, and effectively, which means quickly. In the biz is what we call it, efficiently or quickly, however you look at it. We want to make sure it gets in the right hands as quickly as possible. So with that being said, we also have great insights and increased our brand reputation through trust and security. That's where we stake our claim in, making sure that as long as clients are happy and they know their money is safe and they know their money can get from point A to point E in a fast, secure, and reliable fashion, that's ultimately why we are in business. So if you look right there through there, we have compliance regulations for our money as we are secure, no matter where you're sending money in the world, whether it be China, India, Mexico, wherever you might be paying a supplier or manufacturer, or you're paying your VAs. You might be growing to a juncture where you are bringing on individuals that can help you with your growing your business, and that may be in Vietnam, for example, or at different countries around the world. If you want to pay them in localized currency, you can certainly do that too. But we'll get into a little bit more of that here as well a little bit later. Risk management. So in terms of risk management, I want to make sure that everyone understands, like, this is not to scare anyone, but as we grow businesses, we want to make sure that people understand that their business is our business, and we try to mitigate risks from anything happening to our customers. So we hold and possess licensing and regulations in Europe, USA, United States. For those of you out there who don't know what USA is, bad joke, but Hong Kong, Japan, and India. And specifically in India, I think it's really important to understand too, we actually have RBI approval, which is Reserve Bank of India now. Reserve Bank of India, and has approved our Indian liaison office. What that means is the unique identification number provided by RBI to our India license is available. So we actually have a solution for foreign company registration number, which is available as well for those who need money in and out of our entities in India. And in terms of our online payment gateway service provider, as you can see right there, we are deemed an online payment service or payment gateway service provider in India, which in layman's terms means we act in India as an online payment gateway as prescribed by the RBI for purposes of facilitating certain payment services. So we are one of the very few, if not the only one, of fintech companies that offer and develop our systems in the space in order to make sure that money can come in and out of India safely and effectively as well. So that being said, I want to make sure that everyone understands that it's very important to understand these regulations. Not every company can get these actions, and you have to follow strict guidelines by every country, entity, or region entity. Here in the United States, every state also has a compliance and regulation that we have to hold. But in these countries, you can know that we have these regulations in place that's safe, secure, and reliable as well. So with that being said, moving on, it's also easy to grow. As you grow your business, you need to make sure that you know that if you're going into multiple marketplaces, not just on Amazon. Amazon's amazing. If you're starting on Amazon, amazing. But what about the next marketplace? As your brand grows, what if you're growing into a Canada or an Australia or Europe or any of those other amazing Amazon locations? What if you are going to be what if you're going to be growing in the space of maybe an not Alibaba, but you're selling on Rakuten in Japan, or if you're in South America or Central America and you want to sell in Mercado Libre or any of those amazing marketplaces worldwide. Even in the United States, we have loads and loads of amazing different marketplaces that you might be growing your brand. So you need a partner in a business that's going to be able to make it easier. Again, that's the theme today. Easier, not harder, for you to grow your business and operate. So why not operate under a single interface where you see your money coming and going? This is going to be your best friend for your financial partner, if you're running your finances, or if you have an accountant or someone who's running your business, your monetary business. You want to make it easier to see where all of your money is coming from and to when it comes to international transfers. So multiple marketplaces, multiple currencies. You can actually have multiple receiving accounts in different countries worldwide, saving money and time efficiencies as well. It used to be that you would have to go to these entities or these countries and have a physical locale in the United States or Canada or Japan or Germany or any of these places you wanted to have a receiving account. But now with the likes of a ping pong, you can have all these receiving accounts and convert money at a safe, secure, and reliable place. But also it's easy to have one interface no matter what marketplace you might be on. So that is how you grow. As you're growing your brand, make sure it's easy for you to grow long term, not just have multiple logins and passwords and things like that for different receiving accounts. Why not just keep it all in one awesome location? And that's going to be with Ping Pong, hopefully. All right, moving on. Hassle-free onboarding with us. There is an amazing process that's hassle-free in onboarding. So as you open up a Ping Pong account and how you operate, to mitigate those risks and compliance measures and make sure that your money is safe, secure, and reliable. Anyone who opens up an account, we go through a pretty easy, straightforward process. It's called KYC. It's Know Your Customer. What you do here in order to make sure that your money is safe, secure, and reliable, the KYC process is submitting your entities and making sure that once you register for a free account, you can instantly gain access to local banking information in the countries where you want to do business. Plus, you can make payroll and pay suppliers and much more without ever leaving the comfort of your home, wherever you are in the world. So by doing this in the KYC process, you just have to submit your docs. It's really documents. It's really easy to do. Your protection it's for obviously your protection and safety. You upload the required and standard business documents and know your money is as safe as hands as possible. To prevent money laundering and to account fraud by verifying your identity and preventing anyone who isn't you from accessing your account and information. So once you do all that, in our compliance team, make sure that all things are in order. Again, it's a pretty standard and easy process. You can start to send and receive your money. Global e-commerce at the fingertips, sending money, accepting payments, paying your VAT and GST. If you operate in marketplaces that need those or need to pay those, you can top up your account and so much more with one single convenient platform that allows you to see all of your marketplaces all the time as well. So with that being said, now that you know how the process works, how the fund of flow works. So again, if you're going to be growing your business in the form of payments from marketplaces and platforms, and like we mentioned before, like a C discount, a Shopify store, Rakuten, Amazon, of course, all those different ways, you want to make sure that your money is safe, secure, and reliable, and it gets to you quickly and effectively. Once the money comes into your account, you can receive it in any country, any currency that can receive with Ping Pong account. That could be the US dollar, the INR, euro, the British pound, or the Great Britain pound, the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, Australian dollar, the Singapore dollar, the dirham, and the United Emirates, and the Mexican peso. Once that money is received into your account, again, every 2 weeks, Amazon typically will pay you out to your account that you load in there. But you actually have the ability to, whenever you want to convert the funds, other than having Amazon do that for you. So when that comes to play, you want to make sure that you convert it safely on your terms. So if you are just starting out your business, you may not have a lot to convert, and that's okay. As you grow, you want to make sure that you have control over the currency conversion instead of having the likes of Amazon do it. We'll get to more of that in a minute. When they have control of your money, they can effectively charge more fees, and effectively you lose more money in their account. So when you do that, when you're withdrawing your money, you have a current account and your savings account. However you want to withdraw the funds, it can be transferred to your India bank around the world in INR or the US dollar at high competitive rates. Once the funds land in your Ping Pong account, they're automatically transferred then to your India bank account effectively and safely. And you're not paying the fees that you would typically do when you are converting funds like through a bank or through a third-party entity like a PayPal or another technology. So that's super important to understand and know that once all this is happening, you want to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table. So how is Amazon the global selling program is going to help Indian sellers? So I think this is very important for those of our clients who are in India right now. How is Amazon's global selling program helping India sellers? So there's two ways to sell. Obviously, that's not very it's not very difficult to understand. So that sellers don't need to worry about packaged products or arranging deliveries. Amazon FBA can take care of packing, delivering, and managing product returns. Everyone knows what FBA is. You pay the fees to store your items in the Amazon's fulfillment centers to use Amazon's fulfillment services. And then MFN, or after receiving orders through your merchant fulfilled network, Amazon, once you receive the orders, Amazon will mention to you, you ship out the orders and products directly from your home, business, warehouse, wherever that might be, and you're solely responsible for locating the stock, the packing, picking the orders, and organizing the shipments and making sure that they get to that customer quickly and effectively, and taking care of all the customer care. So that being said, those are the two ways that Amazon's global selling program is helping India sellers. But under those comparably of the two, one, you can rely on Amazon's ways of fulfillment, which is nice and convenient, but unfortunately, that might come at a cost for a lot of people. FBA is always the way to go, I think, as you're starting out. If you don't have solutions in place, if you don't have a great resource network in place, but also, but as you grow and as you develop and have these omni-channel approaches in the ways of growing your business, you might want to effectively take on some of that responsibility yourself and fulfill, maybe as a backup, or if you have low inventory in their warehousing, you can fulfill through merchant fulfilled network. It's definitely possible to do that. So there's always a nice balance depending on who you are and as you grow your business moving forward. Moving on, what are some of the pitfalls? I promised at the beginning of the session that for the GoSeller session that we would be talking about some tips that you might not know or tricks that you might not be aware of when it comes to some of the fees or some of the associations when it comes to doing business with Amazon. After all, again, this is about, we don't want to be anything that's hidden. We want to make sure we uncover and we know what our cost of business is. So there is a program called Amazon Currency Converter for Sellers, or ACCS. This is a program that Amazon launched to help people who are not in one country that are doing business in that country, but they need to receive money in their localized economies. So, for example, that would be if I'm in the United States, and if I decide to sell in Canada, I have no use for Canadian dollar here in my local. If I'm going to buy groceries or pay my employees here locally, or anything here in my local economy, I very rarely would use Canadian dollar here in my economy. So I want to be able to have my US dollar. But when I'm selling in Amazon charges the buyer Canadian dollars, and they receive Canadian dollars. But the program was created so that for the seller like myself, once I receive those funds, and every 2 weeks I get my remittance paid out to my local bank account, they will convert it for me, but at a cost. Of course, Amazon, with convenience comes cost, and there's always a catch. And with that catch, I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring back up to make sure that you all understand that with that convenience comes cost. Amazon will convert the funds for you every 2 weeks, and they will convert it without hesitation every 2 weeks for you. But that comes at a fee, and I will blow up the screen again for you so you can see it comes with a percentage of your revenue at the end of the day. So that is after your referral fees, your warehousing fees, all of the fees associated with the traditional FBA model. You're going to pay that, and then you should have your net revenue. But Amazon will still convert your revenue over for you at another percentage of costs. So as you can see, ACCS, if you're doing an annual monthly income, even if I'm selling $1,000 in Canada, for example, Amazon will charge me 1.5% on that initial monthly volume to charge me just to convert my funds over to my local bank account. So if I'm doing $1,000 Canadian dollars, they're going to charge 1.5% to exchange that over to my bank account in the United States. That is a lot as you start to scale. As you can see, $12,000 over the year. That's not too much. That's not terrible much if you're a seasoned seller. But as you grow, you can see that that's $60 that Amazon took from me. That was mine, but they converted it for me. But as they grow, that number starts to skyrocket. So if you're doing $10,000 a month, that goes up to $600 a year that you're losing out on. Or if you do $100,000 a month or $1 million, now we're cooking. Now we're working with gasoline. We're actually growing our business in all these marketplaces. And again, this is just in each marketplace that you're operating in Amazon. Every time that you convert and if you're working on that monthly volume, just for example, that $100,000 or that $1 million monthly volume, you're going to see that number start to skyrocket in terms of annual savings that you could be saving when you use the likes of a ping pong. Just for clarification, their rates, Amazon's ACCS rates do go down the more you sell, but when you work with the likes of a ping pong, those rates are always going to beat out Amazon no matter what. So you're going to see that scalable solution as you do more business and as you're receiving more funds. Just for receiving money, just to get paid out, you could be saving the likes of $42,000 a year per marketplace. Or if you're one of the 8-9 figure sellers out there that's listening to this, you could be saving over $500,000 if you're doing great business in international markets. You don't want to leave money on the table. Make that money work for you, especially when there's fees that are constantly being stacked up. And again, I'm going to pop back on here. When there's fees that constantly get stacked up like this, you want to make sure that it's putting and working for you. You don't want to have to pay more money towards Amazon than you already have to. And this is a very few places where you have control over the rates at which you are given as a entrepreneur. So this is very important as you grow your international business. Know your numbers, not just a cost of goods, not just your PPC cost, but as you grow, you need to know that your revenue is going to be your money is not left on the table. So again, going a little bit farther, just to kind of, this is one of the core competencies and areas I want to make sure we hammer home is the Amazon currency converter ecosystem. If you're a part of this, know that you have options that are okayed by Amazon and they're part of their referral network their partner network that can save money for you down the road. So just to kind of showcase again how much we're saving for Indian-based sellers. Just kind of quickly break down. I don't need to go through the numbers because I know everyone here can read, but up to 1% or below all-inclusive rates, you're bringing home more of your hard-earned money from your international sales. So just to kind of give you a little bit of insight, bring more money home. Everyone's in this business to be effectively and grow their business and be an entrepreneur and grow that business to pay out their employees themselves, their family members, whoever that might be. It's important to know that you have control over these funds. Another thing I would like to kind of highlight too for everyone is that fastest payments when it comes to time. And we alluded to this to the beginning, that time is money. The fastest payments in the industry that are processed, again, by any sort of third-party service provider, unfortunately, if they don't have a good network in place, it can delay your businesses anywhere from 2 to 3 business days. Again, receiving your remittance on day 0, Amazon initiates a payment transfer. The service provider receives the funds, and usually within 2 working days, it's processed. So you get paid out. But with Ping Pong, you can see that you're saving yourself 2 to 3 business days because instantly you're going to receive that same working day. You're going to be receiving your payment instead of waiting on an international entity with other service providers. So again, the faster you receive your funds, the more you can quickly invest, pay off your debts, pay your employees, pay off the PPC or invest more into PPC. Again, all these things, when there's more money, when your money gets to the end result quicker, you can start making decisions quicker. And the more you can turn your inventory, the more you can invest, and you don't have money tied up into the network that is money transfers. You can start making business decisions that are effectively going to make your business run quicker and smoother. So what we offer our customers in India, as you can see, is international payments, get virtual receiving accounts in US, UK, EU, Canada, Australia, Japan, Dubai. You can receive anywhere in the world. You get a local bank withdrawal. Obviously, funds automatically are transferred to your India bank account in INR, USD at highly competitive rates. And it's also fast, secure, reliable, transparent as well. We don't hide any of our fees that Ping Pong makes. When it comes to converting your funds, you're going to see that front and center. So the value of when it comes to valuable service within our entities, again, trying to emphasize how secure it is. You need to know there's a theme here in making sure that you know that money is safe, secure, and reliable in our ecosystems when it comes to our international business, and making it a lot easier for you in terms of the ability to grow as your business grows. Again, paying suppliers is the number one focus that Ping Pong has to date. You can have a virtual credit card and make payments to suppliers and manufacturers with us. You don't have to worry about you have the option now to withdraw from an Indian beneficiary bank at the lowest currency conversion possible. And then obviously working capital loan by our partners that we have available as well, that we make sure that is available for individuals. So how paying your suppliers gets easier, just to kind of show you how Ping Pong kind of makes the transparency process easy. The old traditional way is receiving your invoice from your supplier. You initiate a wire transfer with a domestic bank. It goes through multiple gates, and with every gate that you go through, or I call them doorways, every doorway you go through, someone wants to pay a toll. So every toll that you have to pay, there's going to be higher and higher rates. People typically pay anywhere from 3 to 5% for currency conversion. That's not the case with us because we actually eliminate a lot of those gates that money goes through. We've developed a technological advanced way to streamline payment processes from point A to point B with our partners in order to save everyone time, money, and effectively their energy and their sanity, if you will. So it's just a lot more simple when you don't do the old archaic ways. No more bank transfers or international wire fees. Those are days of the past. You don't have to pay in order to transfer and send money somewhere. With us, you don't have those fees for international wire. Again, quick wins with supplier pay functionality. The perks of cost effective, it's trustworthy, it's secure, it's very convenient, and again, save your time on things that matter, like growing your business, working on different PPC campaigns, developing new products to launch in the ecosystem. Don't have to worry about money being sent and received. Overall, working with safe, secure, reliable technology and partners is what we do best. And about Ping Pong, if you haven't already deciphered already, Ping Pong has processed more than $90 billion today. It's 100 now. We've worked with more than 1 million customers worldwide. We're handling funds at an enormous rate and making sure that people receive their funds, their hard-earned funds, and get to from point A to point B with safety and security. We support 170 different countries that you can send money to. 13 different currencies, it's not 130, it's 13. And we have employees around the world that we'll kind of talk with and just kind of pat ourselves on the back as our growth, as our sellers grow and as our partners grow, we grow too. So as you can see, the transaction volumes, that's not something that we could do alone. That's something that all the sellers that they're trusting themselves with Ping Pong, they're growing. And as e-commerce will continue to grow in 2022 and beyond, so will Ping Pong. And so as we grow, our recognition gets grander as well. We have a presence in 43 different countries and regions. It's important just to kind of see as a global company, our focus is solely on e-commerce and making sure that sellers get more of their hard-earned money back and really focus on that B2B aspect of business. So global footprint, again, we have lots of offices worldwide. Our international offices, we're currently building in Hangzhou region. We're building in the technology region a new building, and it's going to be amazing. So we are here for the long run to help businesses grow in this capacity. And all I want to say is just thank you, everyone, for listening to some of the information that I had to share with you today. It's not something that, again, I call it the not sexy topic of growing your business, but it certainly is important to understand that when you are growing your brand and, again, making it easier, not harder, for international e-commerce business to operate, again, money is at the center of it. So we want to make sure that you understand that it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be a lot simple. And when you have the right partners in place, it can be a lot more cost effective as well. So I want to just thank everyone for spending some time with me today, spending some time with understanding and taking notes. Just want to kind of throw up here, if you have any questions on my presentation, or if you just want to get in touch with me directly. I'm sure it'll be announced here later in the event, but ryan.kramer@pingpongx.us is my email address, or you can catch me live on our channels, Crossover Commerce podcast, or our webinars here on our Ping Pong channels. We are always excited to hear how we can help people grow their business in different ways and connecting with people. That's what it's all about. So I just wanted to thank everyone today for listening to a little bit of what Ping Pong is doing and helping people grow. So without further ado, Maria, I wanted to go ahead and say, throw it back to you, and thank you for having Ping Pong on and myself on for this great event. And we'll catch you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentations. If you do want to check Ping Pong Payments out, make sure to check the description box or to check GoSeller's official page. All the contact information will be there. If you want exclusive discount codes from Ping Pong Payments or all our registered partner for the event, make sure to register for the event because we have exclusive discount codes for you. So when you are building your Amazon FBA business or when you're launching your first product on the platform, I'm not sure how many of you thought that you will be exiting your FBA business or you had a goal of selling your Amazon business. Let me know in the comment box below how many of you are actually thinking or have decided to sell your Amazon FBA business in the future after you're done scaling it, or you are at a point where you are ready to sell. Let us know in the comment box below. Now we have Gregory Elfrink, who is the Director of Marketing at Empire Flippers. He is going to be talking about your exit strategy if you are ready to exit and everything that you should know before and after you're exiting your business. Over to you, Gregory.
So I'm excited to share this presentation with you guys. I am going to be giving a presentation on exit planning, what you need to know. This is pretty valuable information if you're looking to sell your business for obvious reasons. Exit planning can help you get a much larger exit than if you don't do it. So I highly recommend it. But for those out there who are just building their businesses and you're nowhere near close to actually making that decision to sell your business yet, hey, this presentation is going to be good for you too. There's going to be a lot of good information in here. And in fact, just building your business to sell, even if you don't go selling, is actually a huge benefit for your business because you're going to be leaner, probably going to be a lot more profitable, and you're going to be a lot more organized. And let's face it, as entrepreneurs, organization is probably one of your weaker skill sets, speaking from experience. So who am I? There is an unbearded picture of me. I am the head of marketing. My name is Gregory Elfrink, the head of marketing over at Empire Flippers. I lead the team. I help grow the brand, nurture traffic. And what I mainly do in a lot of ways is what you're seeing here, where I educate the market about what is possible. Because a lot of entrepreneurs I talk to don't even know that they can sell. A lot of us started our business as a side hustle that grew into this miniature empire kind of over almost accidentally, right? And so when it comes to actually realizing you can sell, it's a pretty cool moment for you, realizing the side hustle you built that might be your full-time hustle now is an actual sellable asset. It's a hard asset with inherent value that people want. So what are we going to cover today? We're really going to cover 4 main acts. We're going to talk about what is exit planning, how to supercharge your exit, what buyers want when it comes to your business, and finally, where to sell your FBA brand, because it's not always clear where you should go. Like, obviously, we sell FBA businesses. We are the largest curated marketplace in the world when it comes to that. We've helped create 70 millionaires at the time of exit. And we have a buyer network of over $6 billion. But that doesn't mean that we are always the right path for you. So we'll go over a few different options there and kind of the pros and cons of both at the end. So let's get into what is exit planning. So exit planning is a very simple concept to understand. It is merely the process of making a plan of changes that you carry out typically over a 6 to 12 month period. So your business will result in a higher sales price and easier sales price. So you get a more premium valuation and your actual business is a lot more attractive to an investor. So an exit planning timeline might look something like this. Now, if you use someone like us, this is what it would look like. Obviously, if you're doing it yourself, this is going to be different, but you can definitely use this in your own strategy if you are going to do, some of this like DIY style, right? So the initial step is doing a call with us. We have an entire team just dedicated to doing exit planning with entrepreneurs. They're happy to talk to you. Usually these calls are not very long. Now, depending on the complexity of your business, they can be as short as a 45-minute call where we help you come up with an initial plan and a set of action items. Or it might be even a monthly or weekly kind of call to make sure you're on track with what you had stated is your goal. And this is something that at least we provide this completely for free to our customer base. After that is all done, usually there will be a follow-up call, say a couple months, where we just review everything. Like, hey, how did that go? Did you hit your action plan of what you were saying? Like you wanted to launch these 2 products, or maybe you're liquefying some dead inventory that is slow in terms of sales. How did that go? How's the business looking like? All that kind of stuff. And throughout this, and like I said, for more complex businesses, we'll sometimes have coaching calls. So if you are a fast growing FBA business and you're doing a lot of experimental marketing, part of these coaching calls would be like, hey, you should be careful there because you're getting closer to your timeline. The experiment is still kind of in that experimental phase in terms of, these specific ad campaigns you're doing, for example. Maybe it's okay to shut them off if your goal is to sell within the next 6 months and just get rid of that experimental cost on your P&L completely. And we've had this happen where FBA sellers, they decide to, I'm ready to sell. They get into vetting. And then as we're building their profit and loss statement, we realize, wait, what's this? This is a ton of bad news because all of this budget is going to experimental marketing. And that's not great. When you're going to go sell a business, you're you're best off having about 6 months before you sell, where the business is kind of on maintenance mode more so than like growth at all cost mode. So you want to get rid of things like that. And that's what these coaching calls are really meant for, to understand your business more and to make sure that we are prepping your business to become a truly sellable product by the end of all of this planning, right? And then we also do a lot of expectation setting. I think this is extremely important for you if you're a brand new entrepreneur. There's a lot of misconceptions out there when you go to sell a business. And it's totally okay to have those, by the way, because look, as an entrepreneur, selling your business is most likely a highlight event for you. It's not something you're doing all the time. Even the most prolific sellers are usually only selling a business maybe once every year or 2 years, right? It's not something that's super common that you're doing week in and week out. Now, you might have a portfolio of businesses and you sell a bunch of them at once, but it probably took you several years to make each of those businesses. And that's just, again, the nature of entrepreneurship, right? It's not something you get to do every day because you don't always have like just the endless supply of sellable businesses on hand, right? And then after all that expectation setting is to tell you kind of like what the process is, what to expect, how to get rid of things like emotional equity and make sure you're flexible in deals, that's when you would enter an actual vetting process, which is a lot more technical, hands-on process of the whole exit planning timeline, where our team would make an actual profit and loss statement for you, a prospectus, all that good stuff. Now, if you're doing this by yourself, when you enter this kind of phase, in your little do-it-yourself plan, the enter vetting phase, I highly recommend, instead of maintaining your profit and loss statement yourself, get an actual e-commerce accountant, someone who is trained to do this, because there are a few things you want to make sure you do, such as converting your P&L from a cash basis accounting to an accrual basis accounting. Just by doing this, you're going to increase your valuation a lot more. And it can literally be the difference of hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the size of your business, right? So this is very, very important. Do not go cheap on this. Either use us or use a professional accountant to build that kind of profit and loss statement for you. It's very, very important. And you'll want to also build that P&L broken down by SKUs, so people can see trends of individual products as well, of how well they're performing. And if you haven't done that yourself yet, you might want to do that, because remember what I said earlier, even if you don't plan on selling, these are still good steps to take in your business. Like you might do that, break down your P&L by SKUs and realize, oh, I am not making nearly as much money as I thought I was on product X, Y, and Z. Maybe I should look at revamping the promotion campaign, or maybe even getting rid of those products, right? So let's talk about some of the advantages of doing exit planning. There's two potential outcomes: increasing your valuation, like I said, and a quicker sales process. And usually these two things go hand in hand, because a more premium valuation also tends to denote a much more attractive business. And a more attractive business often has less risk because it is well documented on how everything is done, and less risk creates, again, a better valuation. So at the end of it all, an exit planning strategy call and sessions, all it is a quick engine check. And a lot of what we're going to tell you, a lot of what other people would tell you is going to be pretty common sense. But us as entrepreneurs, we can get a little myopic as we're working in the weeds, right? And maybe can't really see the trees for the forest at the end of the day, right? Or vice versa, the forest for the trees. You know what I mean? The other thing is erasing deal killers. There are things that can happen in your business that or there are things that you might even have that wouldn't be a good fit if you're going to sell your business. So for example, let's say you have an FBA business with a valuation of $500,000. It's not the smallest business in the world, but it's not exactly a huge business either. So in this case, if you have, say, 500 products that you're selling on that business, that could be a deal killer. Like doing exit planning to lower your SKU count into a more manageable number for ratio with your valuation makes a lot of sense, because buyers don't want to buy a business that has just a flood of products that don't match up with the actual valuation, right? You probably have a lot of products you can liquidate, get rid of, optimize, or relaunch and be a lot more successful, right? So that's an example of a deal killer. I already mentioned experimental advertising. That's another one. Launching a new product while you're trying to sell a business is usually a big no-no as well, because remember, you want to have a business that's kind of in this maintenance mode rather than growth at all costs when it comes to actually selling your FBA business. The other thing is identifying areas of growth. So this is not for you to actually take and grow the business. Well, it can be depending on your timeline of selling, but this area can actually help you a lot when it comes to selling your business. So if you tell a buyer, and this is often doubles with us telling the buyer about all of our warts, because every business has problems, right? Every business has troubles, has things that you specifically might not be the best fit to do. And that's just the nature of entrepreneurship when you're wearing so many different hats. But you can turn around these mistakes and these failures and these warts into opportunities for the buyer, which we'll be talking about here in a little bit. But by doing that, by identifying these areas of growth or areas you're not that good at, this can actually help you either if you have like an 18-month plan to focus on those areas of growth to increase your valuation, or use those areas of growth to actually make your business more attractive when it comes to talking to buyers. Now, by doing all of this, it goes without saying, you're going to have a higher success rate when it comes to selling your business. If you have a high quality business that goes through an exit planning like this, whether you do it with us or whether you kind of do your own makeshift version at home, this is going to help you to sell on multiple different fronts, not just on the number front, but also on the brand attractiveness front, the goodwill equity you have built, and just honestly getting into the mind of the buyer. Because there's a thing that happens when you sell your business, and people who buy businesses do this too, where we're all entrepreneurship or into entrepreneurship, we're all into marketing, all that kind of stuff, but we tend to forget our copywriter hat at home when we go into one of these M&A transactions, and we're not thinking about the buyer or the seller anymore, what their desires, pains, and pleasures are, right? But by you doing this, you start putting yourself more and more into the shoes of the buyer, so you're able to customize your business, no matter which buyer you meet, to their needs. Like this will absolutely meet your lifestyle needs or your growth needs, whatever your goals are, right? So who should do exit planning? Now, I mentioned at the front of this, even if you're still building your business, this is still valuable information for you. But in terms of actually doing a call with someone like us or going through all the motions, you should probably wait until you hit a certain level, so to speak. And it doesn't have to be a very big level, but you should at least be making right about $5,000 net profit per month. And that's average, say over a 12-month period, and willing to be honest. Now, the first part is clear. That's the metric, right? But the second part, you might be wondering, like, what do you mean by that? I mentioned earlier that we as entrepreneurs, we can be a bit myopic with our mistakes, our failures, and stuff like that. And there's a tendency when you go to sell your business, like you want to package it up like, my business is amazing. There's nothing wrong with it. This thing is like a gift to humanity if you take this over. Like, this is such a good decision, right? Like, all you're doing by by saying that stuff. One, if you're saying it to a buyer, like if you go privately, that buyer is really not going to trust you. So that's not good, right? People who say stuff like that usually might be hiding something, or they're so clueless about their own business, they don't realize they're hiding something, right? If you say it to someone like us, well, through the expectations call, we will cut down through all of that. Like, hey, we need to get to brass tacks. And honestly, it is much better for you to do that. It is better for you to show your mistakes, better to show your warts, better to tell your broker or the buyer, hey, I messed up here. What do I do to fix this or whatever, because the buyer at the end of the day is going to find all this stuff anyways. And if you aren't honest and you aren't easy to work with, these are all giant red flags for that buyer. So you want to understand that going in. So $5,000 net profit per month is usually a solid time to start, a real exit planning call if you are looking to sell, and the ability to be honest, to be flexible, and to keep the buyer's desires in your mind. The other thing is complex businesses. So if you're running an Amazon FBA business that's operating in multiple different markets, so USA, Canada, Mexico, Europe, you name it, you're there with all these 3PLs around the world, all these different suppliers and manufacturers that are helping your business grow at an accelerated clip, you have a much more complex business than, like, say, a simple FBA business only selling USA market with one product, right? You have a bunch of different stuff going on. And in those kind of situations, it'd be good to do exit plan, because you can look at supply chain with us. You can look at your ad costs, your tacos, all those kind of things. And each one of those things, like in a more complex business, like your tacos, taco cost optimization, something like that, can have huge knock-on effects when it comes to actually selling your business. The other thing is 3 to 18 months to sell. I would wager 3 months is a little bit too short, but this is the general guideline. Like, if you're ready to sell right now, 3 months is probably fine. You're not going to do much to change the business anyways. And as long as you don't have a lot of the other stuff I was just talking about, you probably could sell your business. But 3 to 18 months, that's usually a good enough timeline for an exit planning exercise to actually make a reasonable difference in your business, where you can actually focus on some of those areas of growth and pump up your valuation a bit, and give you enough time to figure out what kind of SOPs you need to update or create, because a lot of us don't even have them, right, to give to a buyer who's looking at buying our brand. So let's talk about supercharging your exit and getting a much bigger valuation. So a simple valuation formula looks kind of like this. Your valuation equals average net profit times your multiple. Now, typically on average net profit, we're looking at a 12-month average. So there are other windows. There are people who have used 3 months, 6 months, but 12 months is the golden standard. And then there's the multiple. And that's the real curious part of all of this, is like what goes into a multiple. Now, I want to be clear here, because if you are used to other M&A brokerages, you might have heard of things like 2.5, 3.5x, something like that. When I'm talking about multiples, I am not talking about annual EBITDA or annual SDE. I'm talking about monthly SDE and monthly EBITDA. That's a legacy thing that we do at EF, because back in the day, we used to sell 3-month-old businesses, and obviously you're not going to do an annual EBITDA. But that is just, so when I say something like 36x, that's 3x basically. But your valuation, your average net profit and multiple, is based off of a formula called EBITDA or SDE. So EBITDA is earnings before interest, depreciation, taxes, and amortization. And then there is SDE, which is seller discretionary earnings. So EBITDA tends to be used in bigger businesses, SDE in smaller businesses, but they're very, very similar. And for our purposes, it doesn't really matter which one you call it, because they are effectively pretty close to the same. And that's all. Your average net profit, or your SDE, would simply be, okay, my revenue is $30,000 a month. I'm making $8,000 a month net profit after all expenses are paid, right? So your $8,000 a month would then be times against the multiple, and that's how you'd get your SDE valuation. So again, there are multiple different windows here. There's 12 months, 6 months, and 3 months. We've seen it all. We've sold it all. 12 months, though, is the absolute gold standard. If you want the best possible multiple, you really want to do a 12 months. So again, this is why experimental marketing is not a great idea when you're going to go sell, because experimental marketing tends to be a loss leader at first until you really optimize the campaigns, right? So that is going to hurt your overall SDEs, and you probably won't be able to make it as an ad back because of the ongoing cost. So There are other things here too. So like a 6 month, like when would you want to use a 6 month window? Well, if you are experiencing a sharp decline in sales, it might make a lot of sense, or a sharp increase in sales. So if your last 6 months reflects the more honest truth of the reality of the business versus the whole 12-month period, then it can make sense for you to use this. 3 months, I would almost never recommend you using a 3 month window. This is a window that most buyers are not very comfortable with, especially at a high level, but you could use it again for very similar reasons, as I mentioned with the 6 month, or if your business is very young. Now, notice the 12, 6, and 3 months, as you go down that window, your actual multiple will probably be less. 12-month businesses, like I mentioned, is the gold standard, and they are going to get the best multiples. So you always want to plan for 12 months unless you have other circumstances are kind of forcing your hand and using that 6 and 3 month window. So the multiple, there are three main categories when it comes to increasing your sales multiple. There's your net profit, which is obvious why that would do it. The higher net profit tends to create the bigger multiple. And then there is efficiency. So this is your marketing and your logistics. And all of this is basically streamlining your business, right? So it is cutting down on your expenses and increasing your overall net profit, which goes into the first part. And then there are growth multipliers. And these are often areas of growth you may not be seeing, or you may not see being inside of the business. Some of these growth areas are easy to implement, others are less so. So all of them can have a meaningful impact on your valuation. And this is some of the examples of a growth multiple. And I just want to be clear, this is by no means an exhaustive list. There's a bunch of other stuff in here too that we could look at during an actual exit planning call. But again, if you're doing this on your own, these are some of the main areas for you to look at. So your revenue streams, the more revenue diversity you have, and the same goes for traffic, the bigger and better multiple you're going to get. So you have 5 different products, that's better than having one product that makes up all the revenue of the business. Because what happens if that product goes out of style? It's not great for your business, right? Same with traffic diversity. If you're getting all of your traffic from, say, Facebook ads, well, what happens if Facebook changes their policy or bans your account, or the rising CPA cost gets too out of control for you? Well, you might not have a business anymore, right? So having multiple layers of traffic and ability to make revenue is very, very important. Then you have logistics and supplier relations, and these obviously kind of go hand in hand. Making that as efficient and as cheap and as fast as possible is really the name of the game. It's usually going to be a blend. So the absolute cheapest supplier and cheapest logistics company is typically not going to be your answer. You want it to have a blend and a hybrid. So there's going to be some trade-offs here to give you the most max efficiency to actually getting your product into people's hands while having a good margin. And then there's pricing. So most entrepreneurs I meet are really bad at pricing. They tend to undercharge instead of overcharge. So there's usually rooms of improvement here just by lifting the price a little bit. And then there's utilizing email. Amazon FBA in particular is a tough business model to build an email list. But if you can pull it off, I highly recommend it, because an email list is one of the most powerful things you can do for your evaluation, because not only does it give you a chance to make more revenue off of the same customers, because now you have a captive audience, right, that you can promote new products to, but you can also create traffic diversity, because email marketing is its own traffic channel. Now let's move into CRO, conversion rate optimization. So going back to pricing here, you can use CRO to help increase the conversions of your product listing page. And usually these tests don't take very long. They can be a week, 2 weeks to find out like, oh, I just increased my conversions with the same amount of traffic by say 10, 15%. And you can use the principles of CRO to find the fair market price of your product. Because like similar to the supplier and logistics, the actual fair market price of your product is not usually going to be the highest price nor the lowest price. It's going to be something in between that creates the most velocity of sales at the highest margin possible. So this is something I highly recommend you use when you're using CRO, is to test pricing all the time. Most people, they test it once and they call it done, one and done, never do it again, never look at it again. But markets change. So I would recommend doing a pricing CRO test at least twice a year, if not more in certain occasions. Then there's your branding. And branding is a tough one, because in a lot of ways, branding makes up a large portion of what your business is in terms as an asset, the goodwill brand of what you have built. but it is also the squishiest thing for us to actually put hard metrics on of what is a good brand. The nice thing for you as an Amazon FBA entrepreneur is like you kind of had to have this built in your business model because you have all the reviews, right? So you have all your customers leaving reviews on your product listing page. That is kind of your brand because most Amazon FBA businesses are only on Amazon. They don't usually have a DTC component or anything like that, or if they do, it's usually a quite small part of their mix. But your branding basically comes down to those reviews. And something that buyers love to see is tons of reviews with an average aggregate of 4.5 stars or up, or at least 4 stars and up. Because that denotes this product is quality, and the amount of customers that bought it gives it some statistical significance in its weight when it comes to your valuation. And then finally is team resources. Do you have a team? Are you a solopreneur? Is your team working at the most effective methods and patterns to increase your valuation? Are you allocating resources correctly? And usually in bigger companies, the answer to that question is a no. So there's almost always an improvement you can do to make your team work better, have a better productivity, and not burn them out at the same time, right? So with the effective exit planning, you can achieve a higher valuation with a minimum amount of effort on your part. And it kind of serves as this guiding light to help you make the most profitable decisions with your business, whether you're going to sell it or not, right? Because again, this is all just very helpful stuff for you to consider, even if you aren't planning on making an exit. So let's talk about the best time to sell your business. So this is actually a question I get a ton. People always ask me, like, when's the best time? When are buyers buying? When is it the highest multiples? All that kind of stuff. And those are great questions. I get why people ask them, but really, if you want to time the market, the best way to time the market is when it makes sense for your personal or business goals to sell. If you can ask yourself the question, if I sold my business today at, say, 30x of the 12-month average net profit, and that's a conservative multiple, but let's say 30x, would I get significantly closer to my personal or business goals? If the answer is yes, only then should you consider really selling your business. Otherwise, just keep growing and don't worry about that, because timing the market is impossible. I've seen a lot of friends try to do this even at EF over my 6-year career. It usually doesn't work out great for them. Usually they end up losing money because of the things they do, the things that they rush to do, trying to time the market. But some things to look for also is what buyers are looking for, right? They want FBA brands with strong finances, right? Because P&Ls is usually the number one thing that is a mistake in your business, in your e-commerce business. Most e-commerce entrepreneurs I know have made multitude mistakes in their profit and loss statements, which, hey, I get it. I'm not a numbers guy either. But this goes back to what I said earlier. Hire an accountant, and specifically a bookkeeper that is specialized in e-commerce. You want that because it will save you so much heartache, so much pain in the butt stuff later on when it does come time to sell. And you don't want to over-optimize your business. I have a friend, he has sold many, many businesses with us, and it's always a Herculean task to actually sell his business with us, not because they're bad businesses, it's just because he's too good at running them. He optimizes everything to the inch degree, to the point where buyers don't really see, like, what can I do? Like, what is left to do on this business, right? So you don't want to explore all of your growth areas and maximize all of them out. You want to leave some room for growth for the buyer. So let's dive deeper into what do buyers really want when it comes to buying a business. Buyers are not looking to purchase a job. They want an asset that has real leverage that can provide an aggressive return on their money while also being attractively aligned with the goals. Now, I say aggressive because, hey, running a business is risky. It is a very volatile business that we're all in. Your career choice as an entrepreneur is probably like one of the riskiest decisions you've ever made, right? So, and likewise for the buyer, they're about to outlay a bunch of capital into what is, to be fair, a risky asset, right? So they want to see there is potential in this business to really give good returns. So what are examples that can make your business more attractive to buyers in general? So these are just some stuff you can do, and are by no means like an exhaustive list either, but documented SOPs that are updated. So maybe you got really excited one weekend and you did all these SOPs, and then they're all out of date because it's been like 2 years since you even looked at them, right? to go back and update those, because these serve as kind of like the buyer's operator manual for your business. And updated SOPs are fantastic for a buyer to see. Shows you're really on top of your business, number one. But two, for the buyers, like, great, I don't even have to really think about the infrastructure here. They have it all laid out clearly for me. The next is minimum hours. So the less hours it takes for you to maintain the business, the more of a sign that is to the buyer, like, hey, this is an engine of growth and leverage. This is a system of scale we got here, versus the entrepreneur working the burnout hours of like 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Buyers don't want that. They want the investment machine. So by you being able to minimize your own hours, that's a really good sign. Like, of course, if you're planning on growing, obviously minimum hours is thrown out the window. But if you're maintaining the business in preparation for a sale, so you're not really going through one of those big growth cycles, you should be able to work, you say 5-10 hours a week on your business and everything is fine, right? Everything is humming along smoothly. The next thing is your mistakes. I already went over mistakes. I'm not going to go deeper into this, but often your mistakes are the opportunities for the buyer. So don't hide them, show them. You don't have to be proud about it, but definitely buyers love to see this, and it builds real trust between you and the buyer. The next is a talented team. And this is by no means a requirement. In fact, I would argue most businesses we sell don't really even have a team. It's often a solopreneur who's built just a really big business by themselves for the most part. But if you do have a team, there is value in that, especially if the team is going to be going with the buyer, or if the team is willing to stick around to help the buyer build their own team before they go off to join you on your next project, right? And there's clean P&L, clean profit and loss statement. I've already hammered this now many, many times. I won't go into it again as well. But finally, there's the plug and play aspect. And this kind of works into the minimum hours. Can someone just jump into your business, look at the SOPs, and do about 80% as good as you are doing? If the answer is yes, you have a solid business. This is pretty plug and play. And that is great, because a plug and play business also is often easier to grow, because the buyer doesn't have to figure out, how do I maintain this? It's already figured out. So they can focus a lot more on the growth and scaling aspect of that business, which they need to do if they're going to get an aggressive return. So what are examples that buyers don't care about? Stuff to avoid. Vanity metrics is number one. Sometimes I see people say, oh, 30,000 followers on Facebook, or hundreds of thousands on TikTok, or whatever. It does not matter. It does not matter. Revenue, even in certain cases, is a vanity metric, in my opinion. That does not move the needle of the business. Now, could it? Sure, it absolutely could. But for the most part, it is a vanity metric. It's top line, not bottom line. People don't really care about it that much, so don't focus too much on it. Extra domains. You might have a whole portfolio of domains of unstarted sites, right? And that is basically worthless. It doesn't really matter. You can throw it into the pot with the buyer. In fact, you should. It's a nice little add-on, but it's not going to help you with anything. No trademarks or trademark. Sorry, let me move my thing. Yeah, there we go. Trademarks can help you, but sometimes they don't. Most of the time, they don't really give you a big push. So having a trademark or a patent, all that stuff is good, but they won't help you as much as you think when it comes to actually selling your business. Now, things like Amazon Registry 2.0, Brand Registry 2.0, I think that stuff is very important. And trademarks and patents, those are good, nice to haves, but they're not requirements. And if you do have one, unless you have something really, really special, like a brand new invention or something like that, usually the trademark and patent aren't going to be the biggest driver for increasing your valuation or even the interest in buying the business. And of course, there's non-monetized email lists. Now, this happens less and less than it used to, but I have seen so many sellers at EAP where they'll come to me, hey, I have this list of 50,000 subscribers. How much is it worth? And I would say, well, how much money has it made you? Like, well, nothing. I haven't emailed them yet because I don't want to annoy them. I just was building it for the buyer to take it over. Do not do this, because if you do this, that email list is basically worth nothing. You would have been better off not even having it, right? So non-monetized email list, that actually hurts your valuation more so than helps you. And buyers will probably discount you even further because like, hey, look, I have this list of 50,000 people that have never heard from you, and now they're hearing from me. What's going to happen? They're probably going like don't even remember who I am, click spam, and then they kill my senders list, right? The other thing is less inventory. So this is a double-bladed sword. It is again like a hybrid, right? You don't want too little or too much. So less inventory, like too much inventory, can make you selling your business harder. It will not help you improve your valuation nor likely the attractiveness of the business. Instead, you want to have a good inventory forecasting where you always have the right mix of inventory. Like it is scary if someone's buying $1 million business and you only have $10,000 worth of inventory. Like you are very close to a stock out, and that's going to hurt the algorithms dramatically, right? But it also can go the other way. If you have a $200,000 business with $300,000 in inventory, like what is going on? Why do you have so much inventory? Like you're ruining your margins by keeping so much inventory on hand, right? So you want to have a balance, just like the pricing stuff that I talked about earlier. Next is potential. Never sell on potential. Now, I've given a few hints already throughout this whole presentation on how you actually can sell on potential. But the thing we want to avoid here is what some entrepreneurs do when they go to sell their first business. But when, again, they're dressing it up like this is the perfect thing, this is the best thing ever. They'll say like, oh, this is the next 5 million, $10 million brand right here. You'd be so lucky to buy it right now. And then the buyer would be like, great, I will give you $2. And once it is a $5 million brand, I'll give you an extra $1 million, right? They're going to do some ridiculous offer that doesn't even make sense because what you're telling them is a dream, right? Like, because they're hearing you say this is the next $5 million business, but in their mind, they're looking at the P&L and thinking like, well, according to the P&L, you're the next $800,000 business. So like, let's calm down on that, right? So the best way to sell on potential is again, by showing your mistakes. So you're not even really telling them, what to do. You're just telling them what you did bad. And by looking at those mistakes, that often builds the potential in the buyer's mind. Like, oh, wow, they are really bad at PPC optimization. I happen to be really good at that. Just by looking through their ad account, I can see so much room for growth. And that's the better way to actually sell on potential. Next is understanding the buyer. So just like you, the buyer has dreams, wishes, and nightmares that you want to avoid, right? What is the thing that is driving them to buy the business? What are their pleasures? What are their pains? Put on your copywriting hat and try to position your FBA business that you want to sell as the perfect solution, the panacea, if you will, to their problems, right? So maybe they're very lifestyle focused. Well, you've just been maintaining your business for the last 6 months, working 2 hours a week. And so you can point that out like, hey, look, if you're just looking for a pure, lifestyle kind of business, you don't need to grow the business. You can just buy it for the cash flow and work 2 hours a week. Maybe, every now and then it goes up to 4 or 6 hours if you need to do something really extra. But overall, this business will provide you that work-life balance. Maybe they're looking for cash flow. So they want really high margins. And maybe your business is that, or maybe your business could become that, right? Maybe you're running it as at hardcore growth, cutting into your margin. But now that you know that the buyer is seeking just, healthy cash flow, healthy margin, you can show them, hey, look, if you stop doing X, Y, and Z that I was doing as an engine of growth, it would actually increase the margin, right? Next is scale. Like if you know the buyer has a ton of capital and their plan is to scale the business, you could tell them why you couldn't scale the business because you probably don't have all that capital you need to go really, really big. Most entrepreneurs do not have, say, an extra $1 million, $2 million to pump into inventory, pump into product launches, pump into paid advertising, all that kind of good stuff. They usually have to do it more incremental as a bootstrap entrepreneur, right? Versus the buyer might be someone who has raised tens of millions of dollars. So for them, putting $2 million into a business to really put fuel on the fire, so to speak, is no big deal. You can position your business in that way. Or maybe the buyer has another business. So let's say you're selling jump ropes, they're selling kettlebells. You find that out, you can say like, hey, you can merge these two brands a bit together where they play off of each other, right? So maybe your jump rope business, you had built that email list of 5,000, 10,000 subscribers that bought your jump ropes off Amazon. Well, guess what? That person can instantly take that 5,000, 10,000 email subscriber list and start promoting their kettlebells with the jump ropes, right? So now they're working together as a synergy play, and you can offer that kind of solution to that kind of buyer. So who are buyers anyways? So this is 6 archetypes that we use. They're customer personas, buyer personas, if you will, of people that you'll probably be dealing with. Now, newbie norm is the most common. Newbie norm usually will be buying something between usually $300,000 in valuation price and less. Usually they're not buying the $1 million deals, but it can happen. We've seen it happen. Entrepreneurs coming from different walks of life, they might come in and buy a business like that. But newbie owners, they'll usually need more handholding. They're brand new, so you got to approach them where you are really taking them step by step. This is again why well-documented SOPs are very, very important, because there's a high chance, depending on the price of your business, you will be dealing with a newbie norm. Next is do-it-yourself Dave, which is like the next evolution of a norm. Someone that is really dive deep into a certain skill, maybe it's like PPC or logistics management. They've gotten really, really good at it. And these kind of buyers are looking for businesses with problems. So let's say you run into a DIY Dave who's really into supply chain, and that's not your thing. That's not the thing you're best at least. That's why they would want your business, because that is the thing they are really good at. They like rolling up their sleeves and getting into the engine themselves, right? Next is Portfolio Paul, and they're more of a lifestyle-driven kind of person. And Portfolio Paul, they're really looking to buy a bunch of different businesses to create a portfolio of cash flows. They're not necessarily looking to scale anything dramatically. They'll probably want growth, but that's not the main intent. They just want a bunch of different revenue streams coming in. Then there's Flipper Fred, which is where we get the second half of our name. And these are people who buy businesses that are struggling and then turn them around and sell that same business, usually with us again, in like 6 to 18 months. And so for them, they are probably going to really hard negotiate you on the actual price, because for them, the cheaper they can get you, the faster they can really cash out on that growth of equity. So Flipper Freds tend to negotiate much harder, but at the same time, Flipper Freds tend to buy a lot more declining businesses, because that's a big part of what they do. It's just like in real estate, right? You want to buy the thing with a broken foundation or the cosmetic damage so you can fix it, then flip it for a much higher price, right? So if you're running an FBA business that is declining, then this is the type of buyer you might end up dealing with, a Flipper Fred or a DIY Dave. Flipper Freds, they will tend to negotiate much harder than, say, a DIY Dave. They tend to have a lot more experience because they're buying businesses all the time. The next is Strategic Sally. So this is the buyer that is similar to the synergy play I was talking about earlier. So they have another business, they're looking to buy a business that complements their first business, which is usually already a decent sized business with good cash flow, good margins. And this buyer is actually, in my opinion, the absolute best buyer out of any of them, because Strategic Sally, when she buys a business, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 for her. It equals 5 because of the amount of compounding growth she can do between the two brands. So this is the buyer that can pay you the absolute most. And because the buyer's buy box is extremely narrow, it's very specific, right? Because not just any business is going to be a nice bolt-on acquisition for them. It has to be a very specific business. They are often willing to bid the most. They're willing to pay the most and usually give you the best terms, because they can beat out all the other buyers, pay a premium for you, and they know they still come out dramatically ahead for it. Now, the next buyer, the second best buyer on here is probably Investor Ivan. These are people who have raised family money or office from family offices, right? Money from family offices and private equity, sometimes to the tunes of hundreds of millions of dollars. They tend to be financial wizards. They tend to have an M&A background, like a traditional M&A banker background. And these people are at once the easiest people to work with, but the ones you have to be pretty careful with, because they have such good experience with the M&A world, and you probably don't. They can run a circle around a lot of sellers with all their terms in terms of earnouts, stabilization payments, how those are structured. So for them, the deal really comes together in the structure of the deal and less of the actual purchase price of the business. So that's obviously a factor too. So you want to make sure you really dot your I's and cross your T's when working with an investor item. Now, again, usually they're very great to work with. They're very professional, and they're a pleasure to work with. We've sold tons and tons of businesses to the Investor Ivan category. It's just something to watch out. Like if you're not using a broker, these are the people to really watch out for, because they are so skilled in the deal structuring process, and you most likely don't have the same skill set. So where do you sell your FBA brand? So you really have two main options. You can do it privately, or you can do it through a broker. So let's go over these two things. Now, obviously, I'm extremely biased. I'm going to tell you to use a broker, but there are benefits to both that I'll get into here. So let's go back here a slide to just look at the private deal versus a broker. So private deal, if you're going to do a private deal, you have a lot of hustle in front of you. You got to go find a buyer list. Either you can buy one, or most likely you'll just create a list in like a Google spreadsheet and just have a ton of people to manually outreach to on top of running your business like normal. Then you need to get them interested in your business. You need to build their P&L. You need to do all the negotiations yourself. You need to do all the legal contracts yourself, say like the asset purchase agreement. I highly recommend don't use theirs. Well, not necessarily don't use theirs, but be careful of theirs. Because remember what I said, like an Investor Ivan, they have a boilerplate APA, but that boilerplate APA works in their favor usually, not your favor. So you want to look into that. And it's important for you to remember. So a lot of people think that a private deal will get you more money at the end of the day because you don't have to pay a broker to the commission. And that makes sense, but there's a lot of problems with that. There's a like if you go like the benefits of this is only surface deep, because once you dig in a little bit, you realize this is often the worst option you can do as a seller. And the buyer will tell you like, hey, look, yeah, don't go with a broker. Don't pay that 10, 15% or whatever the number is, right? Pay nothing and keep the rest of the money, because brokers only charge a premium that they have to pay, which some of these people will say, and it's absolutely not true. The reason why they're saying that to you is because they know if you go with a broker, you're going to get a real valuation. And now there's going to be competition for your business, which inherently makes it harder for them to buy your business, or makes it more expensive, at least for them, right? The only benefit a buyer gets, and this is an important thing to remember, even if you still choose to go to privately, it's very important to remember, the only benefit a buyer has with going privately instead of using a broker like us is they get the business for cheaper, because the entrepreneur doesn't know what they're worth. And so there's a higher chance that they can find a business that is lower price from what it should actually be, from what the market going rate would be, right? Versus going through a broker, you don't have to deal with these problems, because broker has a valuation team, has a marketing team, has a buyer network. It does this every day, so you don't have to worry about the skill disparity between the you and the buyer. And they know how to read these term sheets to make sure that the APA, the asset purchase agreement, when you do sign, isn't against you, but rather is for you, or usually it's a mix, right? Because at the end of the day, at EF, for example, we operate on a win-win-win basis. The buyer wins because they get a good deal. The seller wins because they got a life-changing exit that is also a fair deal. And EF wins because our buyers and sellers win, right? So that's the way we operate. But if you go private, it is a different story. Don't fall into what I call the off-market fallacy. Buyers will love you if you do, because that will tend to mean they'll get a better deal. Now, with this meme, now I can go on to the next part here. This is one of the best parts of using a broker. And this is especially true if you have $1 million and up FBA business. It's still true even if you don't have $1 million FBA business. But once you get into 7 figures and 8 figures in terms of your valuation, this is wicked important for you to do. You need to make your buyers compete. They hate it. They don't like it. And this is a big reason why they'll tell you don't go with a broker. But even if you go privately, if you choose not to go with a broker, still make these people compete. Make them compete for what you have built. They are hyper competitive. They will just start outbidding each other to try to get your deal. At one point in the last 2 years, as the aggregators really came onto the scene, I had a very funny moment, a funny comment from an aggregator. He told me, hey, if aggregator X makes an offer on a deal, let me know, because I'll beat it. And that was their due diligence. That was like their initial 5-minute due diligence. Like, hey, good enough for them, good enough for me. Let's go. I want to get in on the offer, right? So these people are hyper competitive. They also have investment mandates to buy businesses. They raise all this money and they have to deploy it. So by making them compete, all you're doing is increasing your valuation. And if you have a high quality business, you most likely will not drive them away. Now, using a broker makes this super easy, because again, we do this every single day of the week. So we know what to watch out for, what to look for, and how to help you with this. But you can definitely do it alone as well. Now, just to beat a dead horse here is why competition can breed life-changing exits. So what you see on the screen is a real story. This is a real customer of ours. And I actually have a lot more stories like this nowadays. So if you want to reach out to me, feel free to. But this seller, they got an initial private offer for $1.4 million with an earnout. And they only had a few days to decide. This is super common, because what is happening here is the aggregator wants to take the FBA business off the market quick. And they want to use the tried and true marketing principle of scarcity and urgency combined. So in this scenario, you have one offer, right? You have a scarce offer and you have the urgency. You got 3 days to decide. And if you're a solopreneur getting offered $1.4 million, like, whoa, that's a lot of money. That, like, you are literally going to become a millionaire. All you have to do is say yes. It's hard to say no to that as a bootstrap entrepreneur. Luckily, this person did. He came to us for a second opinion, and we sold that exact same business for over $2.1 million. A $1.8 million upfront. That's $400,000 more than the entire deal that he originally got, right? And that was it. He also got a $200,000 per year stability payment based on revenue milestones and 5% uncapped revenue share for 2 years on anything above the agreed upon milestone. So yes, this seller definitely paid a commission. In fact, he paid a bigger commission than he was expecting to. But he is pretty happy because at the end of the day, he has a lot more money in his wallet. So was it worth it? For that entrepreneur, I'd say yes, he's thrilled. In fact, he just went on a giant kayaking trip with his family all across Canada. They had this awesome thing. They took like 2-3 months off and made all these cool memories, all because he didn't give in to the scarcity or urgency and he didn't buy into the off-market fallacy. Now, I'm not saying you need to use a broker at all to do what I just showed on that last slide. I'm just saying it helps. If you go with a private route, keep everything I mentioned here in mind. And if you want an exit planning call, you can use the link down below. And even if you don't use us, like it's still very useful for you. I have friends who have used our exit planning service and then they go sell privately. Totally fine. It's no pressure at all. And if you want a more automated thing because you're an introvert like me and would rather not talk to anyone, you can just use our valuation tool and you'll get a rough estimate of what your business is worth based on real sales data from our marketplace. If you want to connect with me, my email is just greg@empireflippers.com. And of course, you can come check us out at the blog, the YouTube channel, all that good stuff. And I hope you guys all got a lot of value from this presentation. Talk to you later. Bye.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation, Gregory. I personally think that selling your Amazon FBA business is a really big decision that sellers have to make. Recently, I met a seller who decided to sell their Amazon FBA business because they found a new product that excited them so much that they wanted to focus their time and money and effort on that. And when you're doing that, if now the product excites you, it's important for you to sell your previous business because you will not be giving it 100% there. And many people need capital to fund their new product as well. So sell that business, and of course you can use that money or the capital to fund in your new project. If you are in the similar situation like this seller was, I think this was a really great session for you. All right, this is all we had for you today. And before I end this event and before I end day 4 of GoSeller 2022, I think it's really important for us to see what all we've learned by far. So day 1 was all about product research. So if you are a beginner level seller, you need a really good product to sell on Amazon. So check that day out. We spoke about product research, and of course, Kian, who is the CEO of Titan Network, spoke about how you can source your product effectively on Amazon. So check that out. In day 2, we had 3 amazing speakers. Don Hines spoke about funding and raising capital for your Amazon FBA business, followed by Oliver Muller, who is a tax advisor in HelloTax, who spoke about VAT and taxes and how most sellers miss that while calculating their profits on Amazon, followed by Prabhat Shah, who is a marketplace consultant, who spoke about how you can launch your Amazon FBA product on Amazon. He spoke about a perfect strategy and covered everything that you need to know if you are planning to launch a product on Amazon. Day 3 was about advertising. Nitin Mantretti, who is the director of customer success, covered that topic on how you can or what are the advanced level PPC strategies that you need to bring down that ACOS on Amazon. He spoke about how SellerApp can help you achieve that as well. Then we had Dilip Vamanan, who's the co-founder of SellerApp. He spoke about business monitoring and important data metrics to track if you want to make more profits on Amazon and see where you're leaking money from. And of course, day 4, the last day, we had 3 amazing speakers again. First, we had Ben Leonard, who's the co-founder of Ecom Brokers. He spoke about brand management. followed by Ryan Kramer from Ping Pong Payments, who spoke about how you can or how you should be indulging in cross-border e-commerce or cross-border expansion. And of course, lastly, we had Gregory from Empire Flippers, who spoke about exiting your Amazon business. Exiting, of course, is really important for you. Before I end the event, I would like to thank everyone who made this event happen. The marketing team at SellerApp, thank you so much for putting in day and nights to making this event really successful. The audience who are watching right now, thank you so much for your constant support, and thank you so much for being so interactive throughout the event. I really love creating content for you all. We love creating content for you all. So thank you so much for being here. And of course, this event would have not been possible without our trusted partners and speakers who recorded their bits and put in time and effort to being here and spreading the knowledge of how you can be successful on Amazon. I would like to thank you all for that. Before you leave, if you haven't already, you can still register for GoSeller 2022. We have a very limited time offer running for you all. If you register for the event, you get exclusive codes from all our trusted and registered partners, alongside with some PDFs that are going to help you make the most out of your Amazon journey. So of course, there's still some time left and you can do that. For more information, check out our GoSeller official page for watch links for previous days. If you want to get in touch with any speaker or partner you saw speaking in the past 4 days, all the information will be out there. And if you have any more further questions, leave us an email at support@sellerapp.com and we will love to help you. I'm afraid this is all we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to GoSeller 2022. And of course, until the next time I see you, happy selling.